Alright, guys. Alright, I'm back. Okay. So, I know I'm saying I'm doing a redo here. Because basically, there were things that I think I missed in the original review that are worth mentioning, and I feel like I kind of did a biased review in this case. I don't know if any of you heard what I was saying at all there, but I was making the point that basically there were a lot of things that were good about... Well, not a lot of things. I don't want to give it too much credit now. One of the terrible things that I was just talking about was the fact that... One of the terrible things that I was talking about with this film was that they were doing covers of old classic rock songs that were fucking... I'm trying not to say the F word, but damn it. I already said it, so it doesn't matter now. We already committed. But what I was trying to make the point is basically there was a lot of crappy covers in this, and my buddy Chris actually told me about that. And I do agree. I just wasn't really thinking about it at the time. I did a Rush movie review, and I'm not going to do that again. I usually, like I said in my notes below, that I usually give myself a little bit of time to sit on it to make sure, do I really hate a film? Do I really not like a film? And to me, I feel like I enjoyed this film, but do I think it deserves any award? Absolutely not. There is nothing. There's nothing very unique about it in terms of like leaving you with a deeper connection to the characters, because I feel like the characters were not. They were very flat, very stale, in many ways. I mean, I think they're. I don't think Wonder Woman's completely stale, but I feel like the character development could have been a little bit better in terms of like actually feeling vested into this. Because yeah, you feel vested if you see, with Superman and stuff, which that I know that's a giveaway. I'm sorry if that's a surprise to anybody. I wasn't intending on that, but it's not a big deal. It's not a super big deal that I gave that information away. But anyways, you don't really feel that deep of a connection to a lot of the characters. And overall, I feel like you just don't get this sense of like, oh man, this was, like you felt like you went on a journey or something. You don't feel like that at the end of this. At least I didn't. Necessarily. But let's see. What's going on here? Let me see why this is showing offline. Alright, let's see here. I'm trying to see what happened here. Alright, we're still good. It was just loading ref. But I would say it doesn't leave you with like a lasting impression that you want to... Like, you don't feel connected, okay? That's the bottom line. That's what I'm trying to say. I know I was, like, pussyfooting around here, not knowing what words to say. But anyways, another thing that I want to bring up is there is some very, very campy humor in this. Very cheesy. Campy meaning, like, Adam West Batman, okay? Except that was kind of a good campy. This is kind of, like, not embracing itself. Granted, Barry Allen is a very awkward character in any of the shows and anything like that. And there are a lot of cheesy jokes in the show, too. So, I mean, it's not like it's unheard of. But it's just like some of the lines are really cheesy. And one of the lines that I have to absolutely tell you it was cringeworthy was the fact that Wonder Woman says in the one line, she says, I work with children, okay? Because something happens where people are acting like goofy or whatever, and she said that she worked with children, and it's just like, it was not funny. Like, it was like anti-humor. It's like, that's not that funny. Stupid. Very cheesy. Very cheesy jokes that did not work well. If you even want to call them jokes, by the way. You had a lot of terrible classic rock covers, too, like I said. That was terrible. There was one scene that I really liked. It's stupid, but what's his name, Aquaman, takes a thing of whiskey and chugs it. While he's chugging it, this song by Jack White's playing that I really like. That's a pretty cool song. But, I mean, the scene wasn't significant, okay? It's a really stupid scene. But there are parts of the movie that I would say they aren't completely incoherent, because I feel like the movie was coherent. Because you can tell how you got from the beginning to the movie to the end of the film. And that is why it's coherent. Okay, I know there was a comment by my buddy Chris. I don't mean to call you out in my video, but I'm going to. Because regardless of if you did not like the film, if you thought that was boring, it is obvious where the beginning of the film was and where the end was. It was very obvious, and it was a very easy timeline to follow. Maybe not for you. I don't know how it wasn't. I mean, it's pretty easy to follow. I'm not saying that every part along the way needed to be there or added anything to the film, but it has a clear line of where you go. Sorry about the phone there, guys. It's just freaking ringing. I'll just ignore it. But yeah, you can tell where it's going. You know, there's a bad guy. They got to do some stuff to get rid of said bad guy, you know, etc., etc. That type of thing. With every superhero movie, same thing. Character development was lacking, as like I said. They were kind of like paper characters that you really didn't feel connected to. What else? What else was... one of the redeeming qualities, because I don't want to completely shit this... I don't want to completely shit all over this film. But... let's see... I don't want to completely shit on the film, because they used some original music. Meaning like they used the 1989 Batman theme, which I didn't realize until the credits. Don't know why I didn't realize that it was playing. I have no idea why. Maybe it's just I heard the Batman song so much I didn't think, you know. Anyways, there's that. Then there's also the fact that you got original Superman theme that John Williams performed, which is cool. You know, the same guy who did Star Wars, you know, the Star Wars music. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that it leaves a lot to be desired for the film. I would say it definitely does redeem Aquaman, because Aquaman is definitely cool. He looks cool as shit. That's a little bit hard to deny, that he looks really cool. I know you weren't calling, but he does look cool. A lot cooler than the Aquaman of earlier years. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying here. But that was done well. I feel like it was a film that you can sit there, you can eat your popcorn, you can kind of take it in, kind of enjoy it a little bit. It didn't really have me snoozing. I know that I had talked to someone, they said it kind of made them, they were kind of bored and stuff. I didn't really feel like it was boring. I feel like Batman versus Superman, that was boring. Suicide Squad was boring. I mean, at least Suicide Squad had some action, but still. It still wasn't like this amazing experience, you know? You know, I didn't leave the theater feeling like, oh wow, this was this was really solid, you know. I feel like Wonder Woman was a lot better than this film, and it was just because the acting seemed like it was a lot more improved. I'm not saying you didn't have good actors in this. I'm just saying that it wasn't a good script. And you know, I just don't one of the other arguments that my buddy also brought up, and this is a good one, and I think it's worth bringing up here. I'm not just trying to play off of other people's arguments, but he did make the point that basically he didn't know how they were going to survive on the budgets that they're doing with the way that the films are being perceived. And I totally agree. I feel like Aquaman, without a doubt, is going to bomb. I do not want that film to bomb. And that's part of my bias, but I got to be honest with you guys. I got to be honest for the truth of the movie, okay? And here it comes down to the rating of this film. And originally I gave it like a 4, okay? We're going to actually drop that down to about a 3. And the reason why we're going to a 3 and we're not going all the way to 2 is that I love Marvel. No, I love DC. Why did I say that? This is a DC movie. I did not mean to say that, obviously. I love DC, and I've always been favorable towards Batman just because I've always liked Batman. But that doesn't mean that makes this movie worth 5 stars or anywhere close to it, because it is not a 5-star movie by any means. I think a 3 is being quite generous with this film. Yeah, I mean, superhero movies are going to be cheesy anyways, though, dude. I mean, that's kind of... I feel like that's unavoidable. I feel like that's an unavoidable thing. Although, I mean, it is possible to create another type of world for superheroes. Because, like, for instance, the Christopher Nolan series of Batmans... I mean, Batman Begins is the most solid of that trilogy... But I don't think those are seen as comical. Those are taken seriously as films, okay? As hardcore films. Like, people that are critics enjoy these films. Like Dark Knight, okay? It doesn't matter how many times I've seen that movie. It is not flawed in any way as far as I'm concerned. Dark Knight Rises does have some problems with the actual coherence in terms of plot holes. There are some plot hole issues with that are kind of obvious. Not getting into that because we're talking about Justice League. But I think the overall impression that I have of this film, if you enjoy DC Comics, if you are a fan of comics, this is worth seeing. But it is not worth seeing if you don't know anything about any of these characters at all. I mean... You don't necessarily need to know a whole lot, but I would say that a comic book fan is going to be a lot more friendly to this movie than any other type of critic, and that's just because I feel like comic book fans, as a fan of it, you can see what's trying to be attempted, what they're trying to do, and you can respect that level, but I just feel like it doesn't leave you with this lasting impression, like, oh my god, what did I just see? This was amazing. You know, you just don't get that with this film. There were some end scenes that are definitely worth seeing if you should choose to go to the movie. That's totally up to you. But my recommendation is for comic book fans mostly. And I know most people would say, why would you want to target them when they're the ones that probably are going to diss this? Actually, it's funny because like most movies, like Batman vs. Superman, which obviously most people think is terrible. Comic book fans can see it for what it is because they know what story arcs were trying to be put in it, and they don't end up hating it. But the thing is, I don't really know the story arcs that were put into this. I don't know if they existed. I'm assuming they probably did, because they do at least try to put characters that did exist into the thing. I mean, it does have a good, like, little, like, fight at the end. I think that part's good. You know, graphically, it looks beautiful. It looks great. I mean, the CGI is really nice. It's not too bad, but I just feel like they're not able to recreate that connection that you were able to have with, like, the Christopher Nolan movies, for example, because the level at which they took the character development was slow. Like, you didn't get right to him becoming Batman and Batman Begins. Like, you didn't just jump right into it. Like, there was a build-up, and that build-up resulted in you feeling connected to Bruce Wayne. And Ben Affleck, I don't feel connected. I don't feel connected to him as Batman, because, Batman's about asking the deeper questions and stuff, and very analytical guy, and I just don't feel like that is being achieved in these newer movies that DC has been releasing. So, at the end of the day, I give it 3 stars. I feel like this was a little bit more accurate review than what I did the other day, and, it's embarrassing to have to redo this, but you know what? To me, it was more important to get something out there that was a true review, not just simply the bias of a comic book fan. And even so, I don't know the story arc that they were trying to follow. Like I said, I have no idea about any of this stuff. And I feel like, Marvel doesn't always do such a better job, even though they kill the box office. I feel like it's because there is a bias towards those movies to always do well. And I mean, critics are always going to destroy DC movies if they keep doing this. Because not a bad, I enjoyed the film, like I said, but it just was lacking some things. I mean, Cyborg was cool. I wish you kind of could get to know more of his backstory. I feel like it would have put more to the film. I feel like they could have done more on backstories for the characters. I feel like that's where Suicide Squad had problems. Suicide Squad had a lot of problems with that, unfortunately. But, yeah, so you guys can tell me what you think in the comments below. Tell me if that seems a little bit more fair, because I thought that I owed it to you guys to kind of redo that shit, just because I feel like I just feel like I didn't give a fair review, and this is my fair review of it. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And please, like always, guys, remember to like, subscribe, and comment below. And I will see you guys next time on Wheel Movie Reviews.